In 1966, the Motion Picture Association of America established the modern system of film
Would you
ratings.
believe a movie audience guide presented as a public service by this theater's management?
The system was used in order to limit censorship of Hollywood films and provide parents with information about the appropriateness of films for children.
G means suggested for general audiences, all ages. M, suggested, parental discretion advised. R, restricted, persons under 16 not admitted unless accompanied by parent or adult guardian. X, persons under 18 will not be admitted.
With new reports stating evidence that gunplay has tripled in PG-13 films since 1985, and that there is more sexual content in rated R films, what is morally right to show? How much is too much? Is having strong violence in PG-13 films appropriate? What is the limit to the sexual content? How is this affecting the children viewing it, and will this affect them in the future? What are the rights and responsibilities of the Motion Picture Association of America? In 1922, the NPAA was established. Then called the Motion Picture Producers and Distributors of America, it was Hollywood's response to increasing government censorship. Will H. Hayes, the first president of the NPAA, invented a new code in 1930 to censor films that were considered too provocative or sexual.
You want entertainment, wholesome, interesting, and vital? This the motion picture industry is pledged to provide.
The Motion Picture Production Code, or the Hayes Code, was used to keep a clean and friendly image of Hollywood. It was not enforced until 1934. With family-friendly films such as Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and the films by Shirley Temple having a huge success in the United States and abroad, the push of having films censored to bring in a wide range of audiences was relevant to the industry. The MPAA's responsibility was to ensure that films were being censored for a safe environment and to make sure that films were bringing in big audiences. In 1945, Will Hayes stepped down from president, and the new president, Eric Johnson, rebranded the MPPDA as the MPAA.
Mr. Johnson, you've done so much work of national importance in the last 10 years under 3 administrations, I guess. I probably covered more of your press conferences than almost anyone else.
Johnson oversaw the first revision of the production code, which allowed some subjects that were previously forbidden, such as narcotics and abortion, but at the same time, there were new restrictions such as depiction of blasphemy and mercy killings. Throughout the 60s, cinema was changing. A new kind of American film was emerging, frank and open.
This mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it.
Many directors were fighting the production code and eventually succeeded. Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho is considered to be the first modern film, since it has scenes that were outlawed in the production code. With the popularity and the increasing box office numbers of these modern films, the MPAA demolished the production code in 1968. The new rating system allowed film directors artistic freedom and allowed parents to know what the film had. With this new rating system being a success, there was still a controversy and confusion with the PG rating. Many films in the 1970s and 80s, such as Jaws, Indiana Jones, and Gremlins, which were huge blockbuster successes, had violence and other elements that drew the line between PG and R ratings. Many parents complained that the MPAA was ignoring the violence that these films had because they were huge box office hits, and with that, the MPAA created the PG13 rating in 1984. The MPAA and many filmmakers were reluctant of having this new rating because they thought it would bring in fewer audiences than PG ratings. What they got instead was a huge success for cinema and the box office. The PG-13 rating represented a film that the majority can go to. Teens who are not allowed in R-rated films but do not want to see kiddie G-rated films can enjoy a film that perceived to have an edge. It was a film that teenagers could go with their friends without their little brothers or sisters, and were most likely to re-watch the movie multiple times. This of course contributed to a higher box office and a huge boom for the film industry. With this new rating becoming the rating for a successful box office hit, many filmmakers try to make their film have the PG-13 target. Since 1995, PG-13 films have made over $35 billion more than R-rated films, even though there were 1,500 more R-rated films released during that time period. The popularity of the rating has made it outnumber the PG rating. With the money-making abilities of the PG-13 rating, many filmmakers have tried to force the MPAA to rate their film with that rating, whether upscaling it by adding profanity and bumping it from a PG rating to a PG-13 rating, or downscaling it from R to PG-13. It was the MPAA's responsibility to have a secure rating system that filmmakers could not cheat. By adding what the film had to the bumpers, such as alcohol use or sexual content, the MPAA could securely show the public what were the contents of the film. In recent years, there has been controversy with the MPAA and how they rate their Hollywood films. Recent studies by Daniel Romer and Brad Bushin of The Ohio and Pennsylvania University have concluded that since 2009, the level of violence in PG-13 films were statistically the same as rated R films, and in 2012, PG-13 films surpassed rated R films in violence. With people claiming that the MPAA is not fixing the PG-13 rating system because it is the highest grossing film rating, there has been debates on whether or not children are allowed to view this. The MPAA has also been accused of allowing the downgrade or the upgrade of films to bring in a larger audience, something that they were clearly against. With recent films such as Bully, a documentary about teens who face bullies in high school, get an R rating for language, and The Hunger Games, a Hollywood film about teenagers killing each other with medieval weapons, get a PG-13 rating, there has been a conclusion that the rating system is flawed. Even family films such as Disney animated films, which were all rated G in the 1990s, and getting a PG was considered taboo, now almost all family films are rated PG. Many have argued that the movie studios and the MPAA are bumping up family films to bring in more people, and so the film will not look babyish.
I wasn't saddled with anything. It's Coraline.
An example of this would be the recent Disney film Frozen, which is rated PG for some action and mild rude humor, while in the 1990s, Disney's The Hunchback of Notre Dame contained violence, mild sensuality, thematic and frightening material, alcohol references, and mild language. This film was rated G. This is a complete reversal of what the MPAA is doing with live action films. Joanne Graves, the ratings chief of the MPAA, commented on the situation by saying that when you are a PG-13 or if they're very low in the R, context can move the needle one way or the other. The people who use it think they're quite accurate. Whether or not the way the MPAA rates film is right or wrong, they still hold the right and responsibility to ensure that films being released in today's cinemas are appropriate for audiences. Whether kids, teens, or adults, films are an important part in our lives, and making sure that we view these films at the appropriate age is the responsibility of the MPAA. With the MPAA, we can have an understanding of what is too much violence or what is too much sexuality, so we can fully appreciate the art form of filmmaking.